Good afternoon. My name is Samruddha Yogesh Yavatkar. Currently, I am pursuing Master of Computer Applications (MCA) Division B with the student registration number SRN 31241687. It is an absolute privilege to stand before you today to present an integral topic with advanced database management system. My topic is data models concepts. In this session, we will explore the foundation types and the practical applications of data models, which are the backbone of organizing, defining, and manipulating data in a structured manner. Where it's the hierarchical network or relational model, each concept plays a vital role in streamlining database design and ensuring optimal database management system. At the end of the presentation, I aim to provide you with the comprehensive understanding of these models and their significance in modern database system, empowering you to appreciate the innovation and efficiency they bring in the management of vast database. Let's start with the concept called database models in database management system. Data models in DBMS helps to understand the design at the conceptual, physical, and logical levels. It provides a clear picture of data, making it easier for developers to create a physical database. Data models are used to describe how the data is stored, accessed, updated in DBMS. A set of symbols and text is used to represent them so that all the members of organization can understand how the data is organized. It provides a set of conceptual tools that are vastly used to represent the description of data. In the real world of database management system, data is a fundamental resource. However, it is efficient handling the data requires more storage. It demands systematic organizational structure and representation of meaningful relationships among the data elements. This is where the data models play a pivotal role. A data model provides a conceptual framework of describing the structure of data, relationships among the data, and constraints that govern the data with a database system. It acts as a bridge between the real world and the database, abstracting the complexities of the data, presenting it in a structured and understandable form. In essence, data model define how data is connected, how it is processed, and how it is stored within the DBMS. There are types of data models in DBMS. The first type is hierarchical data model. The hierarchical model is one of the earliest database model developed by IBM and IMS in 1960s. It is an organized data into a tree-like structure with record has one parent and potential many children, forming a hierarchy. The hierarchical data model is one of the oldest data model developed in 1950s by IBM. In the data model, the data is organized in a hierarchical tree-like structure. Data is organized in a parent-child relationship similar to the family tree and organization chart. In the hierarchical, the above image represents the data model of a vehicle database. Vehicles are classified into two types, two-wheelers and four-wheelers, and then further classified into bike, scooter, and in the four-wheeler, car, tractor, and minibus. The main drawback we can see here is we can only have two one to many relationships under this model. Hence, the hierarchical data model is very rarely used nowadays. Entity relationship model ER model is the second data model. The entity relationship model is a high level conceptual data model that is used to design and represent the structure of a database in a way that is used to understand and implement. It is introduced by Mr. Peter Chen in 1967. The ER model helps in visualizing real world entities, the relationships among them, and the attributes using ER diagram. It mainly used during the database design phase, especially to create conceptual schema before converting it in a relational schema. An entity relationship model, ER model, is a high level data model that describes the structure of a database in a pictorial form, which is known as ER diagram. In simple words, an ER diagram is used to represent logical structure of a database easily. ER model develops a conceptual visual and hence data is an blueprint to implement the database in the future. Developers can easily understand the system by looking the ER diagram. Let's first have a look at the components of the ER diagram. Entity, entity set, attributes, and relationships are the components of entity relationship model. Entity relationship model, we have two entities, that is employee and company, and the relationships among them. Also in the above represented ER diagram, we can see that both the employee and company have some attributes, and the relationship works in type, which means the employee works in a company. The relationship data model RDM is the third model in the database management system. It is a type of model in which data is organized in the form of relations, that is tables. It was proposed by Edgar Cord in 1970 while working in IBM. The relationship model became the foundation for most modern database systems due to its simplicity, flexibility, and mathematical basis. In this model, all the data is represented in a tabular format, and relationships among the data are maintained through the use of keys. The mostly widely accepted data model. In this model, the database is represented as a collection of relationships in a form of rows and columns of two-dimensional tables. Each row is known as tuple. A tuple contains all the data of an individual record, while each column represents an attribute. This is an example. We can see the above table shows the relationship of student with attributes such as student ID, student name, and branch with its respective data in it. It consists four records or four tuples in it. Object-oriented data model is another type of data model system in database management system. The object-oriented data model is a type of data model that combines the principle of object-oriented programming OOPS with database technology. It was developed and addressed the limitations of traditional model like relational model, especially for handling complex and multimedia data problems. This model stores data in the form of objects similar to how data and functions are bundled together in object oriented programming languages such as Java, C, and Python. As the name suggests, object oriented data model is a combination of object oriented programming and relational data model. In this data model, the data and the relationship are represented in a single structure which is known as object. Since data is stored as an object, we can easily store audio, video, images, etc. in the database, which was very difficult and inconvenient to do the relational model. In the above image, we have two objects that are employee and department, in which the data is contained in a single unit. They are linked with each other as a common attribute, or we call as a primary key and a foreign key called department ID. Semi-structured database model. It is another model in the database modeling system. The semi-structured data is designed to handle data that does not have conform a fixed schema. Unlike the rigid tabular structure of relational database, it is useful when the structure of the data may change over time. The data is irregular, nested, or incomplete. The application involves flexible data formats such as XML, JSON, and YML. Semi-structured data sits between the structured data, relational data, and the unstructured data, which is text, images, and video. It is an organization properties but not a strict formatting. A semi-structured data is generalized form of relational database model system which allows representing data in a flexible way. Hence, we cannot differentiate between data and schema in this model because in the model some entities have missing attributes on other hand, and some entities may have extra attributes which is easy to update the schema in the database. Database models in DBMS. There are some advantages and disadvantages in DBMS. Data model ensure that the data is represented accurately. The relationship between the data is well defined. The data redundancy in the DBS can be minimized and missing data can be identified easily. Last but not the least, the security of the data is not compromised. These were the advantages of data models in the DBMS. Now let's see the disadvantages of data models in DBMS. The biggest disadvantage of the data model is one must know the characteristics of physical data to build a data model. Sometimes in big database it's quite difficult to understand data model. Also the cost incurred in very high. Thank you for listening me.